One love. Stay positive. Bring back our kings.
Tonight, special guest is Miss Dolly George Harris. She is the certified health coach and also the owner and co-founder of Give Voice to the Village, which is a Facebook group. And it provides a safe space and it's completely no judgment. It also provides a space where our people need to have certain conversations and share some of their vulnerability or open up without getting judged. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Miss Dolly George Harris in. And I'm so sorry I sound crazy saying Dolly George Harris.
just say Dolly. It's all right.
Dolly.
We ain't got to do the whole government.
But when the audience looks you up on social media, that's how you have your information up there. So that's why I'm saying Dolly George Harris. I don't want to just
right.
I just don't want to do Dolly. It's a couple of Dollys on social media, so we got to give them the government to find you.
Yeah, but there's only one me.
That's
true as well. That's true as well.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and let them know more about what you bring to the table, what you bring to the world.
Yes, so as Shayna said, I am a certified health and life coach. So I'm a dual coach. I do both. I did create a safe space for people in general, but mainly people who look like us melanated people, because we tend to have difficulty communicating when we are going through things, right?
Right.
We have a difficulty communicating when we are angry, when we are sad, when we're in need of someone to just listen to us rant and vent and to really lean on each other for support, right? Because sometimes people they get embarrassed. They don't want to say when they've gone through something and how it makes them feel. We sort of react to things as opposed to responding, right?
Right.
So I just wanted to create a safe space for us to just say, brother, sister, I need you right quick. I'm going through something. I'm going through changes. And I just need somebody to hear me out. I need somebody to give me some good advice. I need somebody to talk me off the ledge. And that's why I made it my mission to become a coach so that I can be a helping hand to people who have gone through those situations. I've gone through those situations. I've been down that road where I felt like I was by myself. I didn't have anyone to really talk to, anyone to understand what I was going through. But then once, I lifted that veil and was able to see there's a lot of people going through the same thing I'm going through.
Indeed.
There's a lot of people who felt depressed that they're having a child, or people who may have been in a relationship where there was infidelity and didn't know how to deal with it and didn't know how to communicate their frustration or how to turn that whole situation around. There's people who may have acted vindictively towards someone out of a past experience they had, right? And you just didn't realize how you've affected someone else's life. And now you want to turn that around and seek forgiveness, not just for the other person, but namely for yourself. So that's why I'm on this mission to help my folks.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well,
Excellent. Well, Dolly, I think the work you're doing is a blessing, and we need more people like you. And I really appreciate it from the Black community because it's very important. Like you said, you try to help us mainly because we have so much struggles, and unfortunately, we have an issue with expressing ourselves. That's one of the big things, especially, I give women a lot more credit because at least to some extent, y'all do express yourself, but sometimes y'all really have nobody to talk to or to help deal with y'all issues and stuff like that. It seems like when it comes to men, we don't want to express it at all, and then it explodes in our face, and then we go out there and do something so extreme that you can't take back. And I think we need to start promoting mental health, but not to give medication though. Life coaching and
Amen.
therapists, I think that's the way to go. A lot of stuff can be solved by just simple conversations, sometimes helping us reveal our issues and helping us, or sometimes we need a life coach just for somebody to listen to us that's different from the people that's around us that have biased opinions about us.
Right.
So
So let me tell you this right here. So the thing about the misconception that a lot of people have when it as it pertains to men, especially black men, is that you're emotionless, right? Women, oh, women, y'all full of emotion. Y'all just emotional creatures. Ain't that the thing? That's the thing that goes around. We are emotional creatures, but it's not true. Men are emotional. That's
I think
why
more.
you have, yes, that's why it's so hard for you guys to communicate how you feel. So it comes out sometimes in rage. It comes out sometimes in silence where you just
Absolutely.
cut somebody off. You don't say nothing,
Right.
right? And you snap. It's men just have to they haven't been taught to embrace the emotions and to express them in a way where it's not destructive,
We
right?
haven't been taught to embrace that. We've been told, or we've been taught per se, to look down on a man when they express
Right.
themselves.
Or when they
Listen,
crying, right?
right,
You,
when we
you when you
crying,
younger, you
I'm
got
like, God,
your boyfriend crying. Can you believe it? He's crying all on my shoulder. Ew. Like what?
God gave us like we are all created with tears, right? We all are
Mm,
created with emotions, right?
Hmm.
hmm.
And Curtis wanted to get a little bit deeper into the science, which we will, but I think we need to break that generational curse right there as far
Hmm.
as being a people where we can't be vulnerable to one another.
That's
I think
right.
that's
That's
We have
very
to
true.
important,
trust. We have
right?
to build trust as a community. We have to understand that first we have to come to grips with, hey, this is something that's learned behavior, right?
Yep.
Right.
Things that we do, things that we react to is because we learn that. And it's and another thing that we have to understand is to hold our ancestors and our elders accountable doesn't mean that we are uh negating anything that they've done for us as far as raising us if they have done their job, right?
Right.
They did the best that they could do. Us holding them accountable and saying, hey, you know, I wasn't taught how to receive love, right? Some people don't know how to receive love, so they just, they shy away from people. When
Right.
people give them props, they don't know how to receive that
Because it wasn't
because
told.
they're so used, right? But they were so used to hearing, "Oh, please, that ain't nothing.
Love is a
We
Right.
could
weakness.
do better."
In a sense. Some people look at it as like if a man shows love, like even to another man, just out of respect, like that's my brother right
Hmm.
there, good guy. They feel as though they're being weak, and we got to get away from that whole idea of being weak because being strong is being able to deal with your feelings as well as the good ones and bad ones. So the problem with men, we express it to ourselves, but internally, and then sometimes because we don't have nobody to talk to about our feelings because we feel we weak if we talk to somebody about our issues, then we explode. That's why you see these guys.
Yeah.
He shot. She did
Right.
the shooting, or he did something crazy. It's because a lot of these brothers out here running around doing a lot of craziness. They got a lot of anger build up, and
Mm.
part of
Yeah.
it too is a lot of fatherless homes. A lot of homes where there's no fathers, um, no type of supervision, no big mamas no more. That thing. That's the thing of the past. I remember when you had
Mm.
big mama, they used to regulate the family. So even if their parent is not handling the business, big mama gonna handle that business. And
Right.
Even when Big Mama was in the picture, right? We were still a people who didn't discuss there's certain things.
Yep.
We were shunned
Yep.
upon, like take it to Jesus, pray on it. You understand what I'm
That's
saying?
right. That's
We
what they
wasn't
did.
we still was I think that time was more worse than the times that we are in right now because we
Yeah.
finally for a lot of us we finally realized how to separate religion from God. We a lot of us are on our spiritual journey, which basically means we are seeking ourselves. You understand
yeah,
what I'm saying? So
Right.
we're finding out the truth about everything. So I think now we're more accepting to lean on one another to have those conversations. But shit, when Big Mama was alive, please, a lot of Big Mamas still had. You understand? Like, nah, we ain't talking about that at the table. Nah, you
Right.
crying, you a punk. You understand? Go do some push-ups.
Suck it up. That's
Suck it up.
Suck it up.
My big
Suck
mama
it up.
was tough. My big mama was too tough. She was like, "Oh, you want to go out there and play? Well, eat all this food on this plate." I'm like, "I don't want it." I'm a New Yorker going down south, dealing with Big Mama, and you know us New Yorkers, we don't like to eat everything on our plate. We'll nitpick on stuff and then throw it in the
Oh,
so.
Shit, speak for yourself, brother. What you talking about? I don't waste nothing.
No, I'm
honey,
just saying that
we ain't over 200 pounds for nothing.
the New York thing. Down south, they don't play that. They damn near eat the whole bone if they have to. They don't play that down south.
Damn right.
I took that.
But you know what's funny is
crazy.
Curtis, you say that. That's funny. You know why? Because I literally was just talking to my husband about that. That has been to our detriment to tell you better not waste no food. They're starving kids in Africa.
Right.
And it's like, and look what that made us do. We eat ourselves into a coma. Like that's literally
Right. We afraid to waste
we
food.
do. Yo, and it's to our detriment. Diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, all of this stuff because we don't want to waste a little corner of food because we full. Big Mama said we gotta eat it.
we get into diabetes and cancer because it goes back to the roots. It goes back to the tradition where we think that soul food is our food.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? If we eat a whole bowl, unlimited bowls of vegetables and fruits, I mean, we pretty much be good. You understand what I'm saying? But if you're eating a whole bucket of chicken and whatever, y'all know what it is. But
all the bad parts of it.
From the hoof to the head.
All the parts that they
pork chops or whatever the case may be, then that's the issue right there. So we, just like you said, we gotta learn how to not blame ourselves, but we gotta learn how to basically fall back, take a deep breath, and look at the whole picture and understand. Well, I'm doing this because I was taught this. Now let me go ahead and look at the ancestors or look at, and then it goes on and on and on. But we don't do that. I think we still point the finger. I still think that we're too. I think there's a lot of people are not humble.
Yeah.
I think instead of addressing the situation, a lot of people still just don't mention anything at all and just keep it moving. But then when they get in these relationships, it passes on into their relationship, and then they have children, and then it continues. The saga continues. You just never see the cycle end because they're not addressing the root issue, which is you as an individual, and then digging deeper into who taught you these type of behaviors.
Right, these beliefs, this way of thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
And it really does carry on with you. And the thing about being a health and a life coach is that we are masters of habit change. That is our main function. It's to find out what the pattern is and to help you disrupt that pattern.
Yeah.
Right? This is what you are used to doing, right? So say I'm dealing with someone who just left the AA, right? They was addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have been on a sober path for 3 months, right? But they need a coach to help them maintain sobriety. Why? Because they can fall back into old habits. What triggers you to constantly drink or binge or whatever it is that you're doing? I have to help you figure out what those triggers are in order to interrupt the pattern so you won't repeat it again.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'll give you those tools to say, I know what that is. I know what that is. See, I just got pissed off because X, Y, and Z said something to me, and now I feel like I want to drink. So this is what I need to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
I literally just give people tools to work their way around that, so they don't have to repeat that pattern again.
Yeah, and that's tough.
I pretty much think that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is tough. That is tough, and you gotta, in order to seek help, you gotta say to yourself, it's time. You gotta be willing to to get help. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's the first step, I think, to any addiction, realizing that there's a problem. And then what are we going to do about the problem? How do we go forward in addressing it? But so Dolly, how long have you been doing health and life coaching? And with that being said, what was the reasoning for you to decide to do that as your career?
Well, I started doing coaching in August. That's when I became certified. I went to school. I started going to school around like January 28th, I want to say. I made a promise to myself after my birthday, which is on January 19th. If y'all want to buy me something, I'm just saying. But
Okay, okay.
I'm, I
You
made
10 days before my son. You 10 days before my
yes, some January babies. We
right.
rocking, honey. But I made a promise to myself to stop sitting on my gift. A friend of mine,
Mm,
she told me that she was taking some courses. I was interested, and then she explained to me why she's doing it. And she was like, "Hey, why you don't look into this? You should look into this. It's like right up your alley." At first, I was like, I didn't really want to do it. I ain't gonna lie, but but then as she explained what it was, I was like, "Oh, I do that anyway, like in real life."
right.
That's
That's
it.
you anyway. That's your
So
gift.
So why not? So then she was like, so look into it. So I started researching, uh, first of all, how many types of coaches there are. There's like 21 different type of coaches out
Yeah.
there. And
Mm,
then yeah. So then I started saying like, what kind of coach would I be? Would I be like a relationship coach? Would I be like a business coach? You know, what was my passion? And I feel like health, because that's something I have struggled with for years. If you go back into my history on
right,
Facebook, you will see endless posts of me either trying to kickbox and lose weight, me trying to work out and lose weight,
right,
all kinds of stuff you will see. I've been struggling with this for years, and I've always like gained traction and actually did it and then fell right off.
right. It's
Yeah.
So
discipline. Takes discipline.
right. So I know within me finding a good school that'll help me to coach other people, I had to go through that process myself first. I had to go through everything that I'm going to be teaching people and the tools I'm going to be giving them. I had to be my first experiment.
Nice. Nice.
Well, that's why you're gonna be successful, and that's why you're genuine in your approach. You understand that?
Right.
Just like everything that I do, it's based off of experiences, it's based off trials and tribulations. I wouldn't be able to genuinely or sincerely per se provide these gifts to other people if I haven't experienced them myself. At least we shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing it that way. So that's dope.
I think mental health is very
Yeah.
important. Like me per se, when I was younger, I had a lot of mental health issues as far as anger management problems, and I got the help I need. And as an older adult, it gave me I'm more comfortable with dealing with my emotions now, and I don't keep to myself, and I have somebody I can find to if I have an issue. And I think that a lot of brothers, we suffer from having that one good person that's going to have an unbiased opinion about you. Not because they know you, they're going to give you the best opinion. They're going to give you the opinion that you need and not the opinion that you want to hear. You know,
Yeah.
it's very
Right.
important.
Right.
It's like I got friends that help me keep my life in structure. And I think it's important for a lot of us to do it. But I guess when you're ready, I wanted to get indulge into the science why a lot of men, a lot of people in the situation they are now, because things just got a lot worse. Like you remember the '60s, we had a two-parent household, so a lot of people used to wonder like what
Yes.
changed, how it changed from a two-parent
Right.
household to many households don't have a father in it or a mother in it, vice versa. And that was done by the system. It was by design. It's not something
Right.
that
Yes, that's systemic.
we have a lack of character, moral issues, and we just made some of these bad choices, and we just now as a fatherless household. No, the system is attacking us, and it's unfortunate that we in war and we don't even know we're in war, and that's the reason why we go through the things we go through, because The, I
Right.
mean, the only way things is going to get better on a mass level, not individual. I know we got to affect individual hit people here and there. We actually got to. This is the neighborhood needs to be changed. If you change the neighborhood, you're going to change the people eventually, their mindset. Because the mindset for
Right.
most, not all, is due to what kind of elements they're exposed to in the neighborhood. So this is part of the issue that I've been trying to talk to young brothers here and there and try to put them on the right path if they'll listen to me, because I know that they have a short fuse nowadays. So if they listen to me, I tell them like you
Right.
could do something different. Nobody never told you that with your drug dealing or whatever you're doing, you could be accountant, you could be an attorney, it's a lot of skill sets you have. You
Right.
count numbers fast, you work in the
Hmm.
market. There's so much you could do, but nobody's telling them. And unfortunately, it's not like the '60s where you had um the same people that was successful that was black was living in the same neighborhood as the poor people. So you got some poor young kids got an opportunity to see successful people that look like them going and doing and become and doing successful things. So they got pictures of it. Now when people get money, what they do? They run out the hood. And I don't blame them because the hood is bad, You don't want to the hood if you don't
Right.
have to.
Right.
But it's like we don't have
I
kids don't
think
have that much examples. It makes it's a bad situation. Yeah.
right. Right. I agree with you 99%. And here's why. Because I think it starts with the home
Yeah.
first, right? And then it starts with the neighborhood. I think
Okay.
I think your home, yourself, your individual circumstances have to be in order before you go out there and try to fix other people. We have to fix ourselves
Mhm.
first.
Yeah.
Um,
See
so
that?
that would be that would be my only difference in what you're saying. And the problem just doesn't exist within manhood; it exists within womanhood too.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's our community. You understand? We deal with the same issues, if not more, that the black male deals with.
My
So
opinion, I think y'all deal with more. Y'all deal with much more. And the reason why, and like I said before, you ever look at a relationship, a man cheat on a woman could probably take him back and deal with it. But if you cheat on that man, he's so weak mentally that he can't handle it. He's gonna end up leaving you. Even if
he's
he cheat
done.
on men are weak. We're actually a lot weaker than women. Women y'all can handle things much better than we could. You ever? I'm not saying it's a fact, but from what I see, a lot of men can't handle the little stuff. But with y'all women, I give y'all so much respect because y'all go through so much hell. Being a black woman working in an environment where it's male dominated, then y'all dealt with chauvinistic men and racist men and all types of elements involved. You know?
Right. Do you know what I think
Right.
contributes to that though? What contributes to women being so forgiving in that manner is that women feel with their heart first before they think with their brain,
Yes,
and men think with their brain before they feel with their
that's
heart.
true.
And men are
Mhm.
very visual. A woman at first is not going to think, "Oh my God, what was he doing with her in the bed? I wonder what kind of positions they was in." No, that's everything running through a man. For a man, like she
Right.
had this man dingling in her mouth. She did this. That's everything that's running through a man. They thinking of every position they done had this girl in, and thinking of the dude doing everything that they was doing to their
And
female.
Curtis,
A
this
woman
is your
ain't thinking about that.
opportunity to step up for the men, but FYI.
But that's the truth. That's facts. Y'all
Right.
think visual stuff.
Well, that's
And then
Right.
y'all put that into play. You're like, nope, nope, y'all gotta go. You gotta go.
but
You
that
gotta go. Nope, I
but
can't
you
do it. We ain't
heard
together no
the
more.
saying
We breaking
before. The
up.
saying is that a man focus on how a woman looks, and a woman focus on what a man says. So it's like what she's hearing is what she focus on, and what he's looking at is what he focus on, and that dynamic just needs to change. But I'm not here to try to change the man's dynamic on how they view things. I'm just here to change their mindset so they can start making smarter decisions. And I'm more and looking at the environment more than anything because when you go to the suburbs, the suburbs they do the same amount of drugs as the people in the poor neighborhoods. Yeah, the
More.
even
More.
more. I can even
More.
say more. But what I will say, as far as the success rate, is much more higher than it is in the environment. And the reason why is because it's like you're in a jungle. So if you're in a jungle and y'all crabs trying to get out this one barrel, y'all gonna be stabbing each other's back naturally because y'all in a survival of fitness situation. And that's something that the suburbs don't have. They have that in the hood. And if they can, like, for example, let's say if everybody in the hood is poor, but they all have the right mindset and they want to do the right thing, and it's 10,000 of them, but it's only 400 jobs. Somebody gonna have to step on somebody's shoes to be able to, for their kid to eat.
Right, and that's how the system is designed for it to be a dog eat dog world, and it shouldn't have to be.
And
right, but we know this already. So why we not progressing, but we not progressing enough? It's literally one or two things that we allow to keep pushing us back.
Nobody wants to.
You understand?
We haven't gained the
really
upper
want to
hand
put
yet.
in the work. See, everybody. One thing I learned with a lot, even when I said with a lot of different brothers and stuff, and I see the positive energy in them. It's all conversation, but when it comes to actually putting the work, because people know the work is hard. So when you start putting the work, they be like, "Nah, I don't want to do this. I'm pro-black, yeah, I'm woke. But when it comes to actually doing the work, and sometimes you might require you to spend your own money, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it, even if they're able and they're in a financial. They have a good financial backing where they can afford to lose a few dollars to help their race. They're not gonna do it.
Right.
We're a society of individuals. Everybody's all about themselves.
Yes.
They make money.
The self.
If you today, tomorrow, you find another way to get money, instead of you telling me so I can eat too, and then my family can eat, and then I could tell them each one teach one type of thing, you're gonna keep it to yourself because you just want to be on top. And that's the sickness of
and that's disgusting. That's disgusting.
We gotta change that.
That's pretty much it.
Let me tell you something. I ain't never been in a situation where I felt threatened by somebody else's success. Your success is not, it means it does nothing to me.
Yeah.
If anything, it elevates me because I'm surrounding myself with people that's doing well. You understand? Yeah. When I elevate Shayna or anybody else that I have on my platform, it's because that's out of pure love. I want to see you win. I don't care if I get left behind or I'm a few steps behind you. I don't care.
Right.
You win is a win for me.
Facts. I don't understand where we got that confused at. You understand what I'm saying?
It's competition and it's baseless. You know why? Because society teaches us the lighter and brighter you are, the more beautiful you are. It teaches us that if you're a more fit man, that you're more apt to get this kind of job. It teaches us that if you have this amount of money, that means that you're qualified for X, Y, and Z. They don't teach you about the people that got the hunger to survive and to make it in this world. People that actually built this world. People that made it what it is. It's not the people that's rich. It's us. The grinders, the hustlers, the dreamers and innovators. We have what it takes to create greatness. Everybody else is just sitting there waiting for them to collect their own coins from us doing the work for them. You know how they say, you know how they say that successful people, they don't work for money. Their money works for them.
Yes.
You know why their money's working for them? Because we're doing it. Yeah. We're doing the work.
I 100% agree with you, and you made a valid point. And I say that all the time. We get exploited on a high rate. These rich people wouldn't succeed without us inventing things, and so they could exploit it. We created so many things, black inventors. We created the computer, we created the cell phone, we created the stoplight, we created the helicopter, we created so much stuff that's being used today.
Yes,
and we get no credit. When you look at it, and out of respect of white people, I'm not trying to put them out there and I'm not trying to say anything in a crazy manner. I'm just saying you always see a white name behind it. But when you dig deep and do the research, you see that it was a black inventor sold it to a white man because a black inventor wasn't allowed to really be an inventor where they could be public with it. At some point, things changed.
And then we wasn't knowledgeable on how to do it.
Yeah, because they was the gatekeepers. It's like you have a skill, you have an art, but I'm the gatekeeper. In order to get past me, you have to give up this and give up that. That's the same thing with the music industry. Why in the rap industry you got all these producers that don't even like rap, but they like the money. They know there's money involved, so they're gonna own your art.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the issue. If we could take our skills and start creating things and making it and exploit ourselves. If anybody can exploit us, I'd rather be our own people doing it our own people so we can do better for ourselves instead of everybody coming along and taking over what we made for, made good things. I'm getting sick and tired of it. I see it so much. And it just gotta change. Like, yeah.
It does. Well, Dolly, to touch base on your profession, what within your experience, what do you see as the number one issue that our community, the melanated community, must talk about? What is the number one thing that you keep running in within your profession again, pretty much?
I feel like the number one thing that we as a community need to speak more about, and in order to heal, is our past trauma.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We have to be curious enough to want to go back there to figure out what has created this pattern of behavior that I now have, right? Where did it stem from? What happened to me in my childhood? Because believe it or not, a lot of things that we do as adults is a direct result of things that we have went through in our childhood. There's some type of lesson that we learned along the way based on some kind of traumatic event that happened to us. And because we didn't speak about it and we held it in, we just continue to move on in our life, repeating the same thing that we learned, right? Without a lesson being taught. You know how say you did something, right? Your mom said, hey, don't be taking your fast tail outside and messing with them boys, right? And you took your fast tail outside and started messing with them boys. And then something traumatic may have happened to you from messing with them boys, right?
Yeah.
And you never spoke about it. And because you never spoke about it, you never got to the root of the issue. One, you never understood what just happened to you. So you continue on relationships with dudes in that same toxic way.
Wow.
Right?
Yep.
You're not really coming to grips with how this has really affected your life. Same thing with women, right? A lot of men who grow up to be bad husbands or fathers, they learn that from their mother. How you see your mom talk to your father or talk to the man at the house, right? How they talk to you. Do they belittle you as a child, or do they uplift you? Do they teach you, or do they scold you? It all is all relevant to how you were raised. And unless we are willing to go back to that place, and it's going to be painful, there's going to be things you don't want to revisit. There's a lot of things that we have a lot of suppressed memory, right? Until somebody take you there and you like, damn, I went through that for real? And then when you start exploring that, you start recognizing that's why I do that. This is why I behave this way. This is why I talk out of turn when I'm speaking to this kind of person. This is why I'm triggered when this person walks in the room. You start really piecing things together. And once you do that, you're able to come to a place where you can find peace, because now you can forgive that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you can forgive yourself for being negligent to your own emotions and your own trauma. And then you could forgive your mother or whoever was involved, just for your sake, not even for this. It's for your peace of mind. And then you can start learning a new way to go about things. You start forming new beliefs around the things that you do. So that way you could correct the behavior and it doesn't become repeated.
Wow, that was awesome. I just took in a mouth. I just took it in like, you educated me as I'm like, wow. I see why you're alive.
That's why I'm so quiet back here. Y'all thought I disappeared. I'm sitting here with my notepad and my pen.
I'm sitting there taking it all in because I'm a little recorder. So I'm gonna have to regurgitate you one day, but I'm definitely gonna mention your name at the same time. I like to do that. I like to mention other people when they say things that make so much sense, but I also give them the credit for it. I hate to be a person that say things that I know didn't come from me and try to take credit like I know
Right.
everything. Nah, I took it in. I'm like, okay, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, nah, no, nobody knows anything, but I think knows everything, excuse me, but I think we can learn from one another.
Yes.
We've all been given a path, and we unfortunately we not unfortunately, but we've gone down different roads, and eventually we will meet at the location that we need to if we keep up the great work that we're doing. So I think Dolly and her profession is so needed. Um, in today's world more than ever. Imagine, I hate to hear people say, and excuse me if it's off topic a little bit, but I think I hate to hear people say that, oh, they can't wait for 2020 to end. You understand what I'm
Mm.
saying? As if things will get better eventually.
As soon
There's
as the
been
clock
so
strikes
many,
12.
right. You understand? We have to keep it real with ourselves. We have to look at this situation. So many people have lost their jobs. So many people have lost loved
Yep.
ones. Um, and a real man wants to be the provider of the family, right? A real man
Right.
doesn't want to see his family struggling. You understand? Doesn't want to be borrowing anything. Doesn't want to ask for help because that's what they've been conditioned to do. And women too, for the most part, we don't want to ask for help because we're afraid of getting judged, critical, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Excuse
Mhm.
me. But I say that to say I think that we are going to deal with more. We need to have more of these conversations more than ever because of what we're going to be dealing with after 2020 is over. Unemployment stops. Now these vaccinations are here.
Oh man.
Um, we got a chaotic presidency going on. There's a lot of things that are against us. Um, so it's so imperative for you, Dolly, to put those services out there and keep having these discussions because we got to talk about it. You understand? Yes, I believe there's a higher being, there's a God exists, ancestors exist, but
Right.
you don't get you don't get that one-on-one conversation
Yep.
right there. You understand? They put people in your lives, they put things in your path in order to assist you with your journey, but you don't get the answers. You don't get a physical conversation with someone right now. So I think again, and I think what's a plus for you is that you look like us. You're
Yes.
relatable.
Amen to that. Yep.
Um, right. She's very raw in her approach,
Mhm.
which is why I know she's going to be successful with anything that she does because it comes from her own experiences. But I wanted to piggyback a little bit because um I was a little bit not aware that with life coaching you don't necessarily deal with mental health. I know me and Curtis definitely wanted to have a conversation about mental health,
Right.
but Dolly, tell the audience and ourselves again why you don't particularly deal with mental health and is
Okay.
exactly what you touch base on, right?
So when it comes to mental health, it is not considered good practice for a coach to take on something that they're not qualified for, right? Just for the sake of, hey, I want to make some extra money, even if this person doesn't need life coaching. I would have to, and as a coach, I have to do this. It suggests that you seek a psychologist, counseling, psychiatry. That's basically not in my ministry. I can't tell you or diagnose you with any kind of mental illness, so to speak. What I can do is once you seek those services, is now help you to identify what triggers you have that trigger that whatever it is that you're going through, right? So say if someone has been diagnosed with like anxiety, right?
Right.
And it only happens in certain situations. I can now help you figure out how to get around it, right? Some people get anxiety, and it's due to meeting new people,
Yeah.
right? You get really nervous, and then you start sweating, and you got the bubble guts, and you break out in hives, and you go through the most just to meet a new person. And it's like, okay, now what is it about you meeting new people that is causing you to react this way? What do you think it is? Where did it stem from? What has worked for you in the past when you tried to get over the situation? What hasn't worked for you? We start digging deeper. And then, like I said, it always ends up going back to childhood. There's always some weird stuff that happened when you was a kid, and your mom's left you with some stranger that you just met that was her friend, and some weird. It's always, I'm telling you, it always goes back
That's
to
why I
your
always
childhood.
say.
Every
When I
time.
talk to a lot of therapists, I got a few friends as therapists, and I also had therapy myself. It's always childhood motivators that affects the cognitive development. So when you get older, you wonder why you have fears of stuff or issues, and then when you speak to a therapist, they break down your childhood history, and you realize, wait a second, this is the experience I had. Like what you were saying, the experience they had when they was younger. Now you can overcome it because now you know what the problem is. Because sometimes we have so many subconscious motivators affecting us, and we don't even know why we're doing it, but we're doing it. And that's why sometimes the proper help you need, you don't necessarily need a therapist. I think, to me, in my opinion, because sometimes therapists don't really change anything. I think life coach, because life coach to me, I think is better in some terms, is that you're putting them on the right path.
It's a difference, isn't it? Isn't it a difference, Darlie?
Yeah.
It's not like you just revealing the skeletons in the closet if you're a therapist, but you're also putting them in the right position. Say, hey, this is what we can put you up here. This is where your goal gonna be, and I'm gonna help you get to your goal. I'm gonna coach you through it. Like you were saying with alcohol addiction and going through the sobriety, the 12-step program. I've been into one of those programs before because I had a friend of mine that was an alcoholic. So I went into the program for 1 week with him, only to support him. And to some extent, I didn't really have an alcohol problem, but I think it could have led towards there if I didn't talk about my issues too. So it was kind of, because he thought I was just going there to support him only. But I said, yeah, I'm going to support you, but I know I got some internal issues that I'm going to work on. So I'm going to use this class to work on it. So I stayed there for at least 1 week. And it was cool. It was cool. It was therapeutic. And from that point on, he got himself a sponsor, and they worked together. And every now and then he had issues, life issues. And I sit there and try to be there for him, helping him pick up the pieces when it fall apart. And
you're his accountability point.
And it's very important. If you just got one thing I learned in life, you don't need that many friends. If you just have one good friend, that's one good friend.
Hello,
one good person.
For sure. I think too many friends cause too many damn issues.
You're damn straight.
Shit, especially for my personality, I'm good on that.
I've been there, done that. Don't want to do it.
And it's sad. And then the jealousy too. It's like I don't know what it is. But me, when I see brothers succeed and doing better, I almost feel as though I'm succeeding, doing better with them. Like we made it together. That's the feeling I get, the warm fuzzy feeling that brothers succeeded.
Right.
But I hate the fact if I'm succeeding, they don't get that same feeling about me. They don't be like, yo, we did it, man. It's like you gotta get out of the end of.
That's crazy, but that no longer bothers me. I don't know. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me too much. I only say that because I've experienced it so much that I'm probably numb to it, or I just don't. Let me see how. I'm definitely not numb to it because I'll think about it. I think if I was numb, in regards to it, I wouldn't feel no type of emotion. Right. But I don't. I think I don't focus on it as much as I used to. I'm too busy loving the moments of the people and loving the people that support me.
That's right.
Like yesterday, I was like highly emotional. I did my own photo shoot. I did my own little brief video after some trials and tribulations, but obviously it was meant for me to do it myself. You understand what I'm saying? But the outpouring of love and sales and sharing the posts and things of that nature, I was sitting in my living room like, damn, like this is surreal.
So
You understand what I'm saying? So I get that so much that I don't focus or care about those people you speak of, Curtis. I'm too busy showing love to the people that show love to
yeah,
me, if that makes
That's
sense.
right. And you know what's
no, you
really
got it. You got
crazy?
it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Chris.
Yeah.
It's what's crazy is that feeling, right? That Shayna got from people supporting her, right? She said she cried. She was just so elated that so many people support her. Do you think people who are billionaires give a goddamn about somebody supporting them? They're not, it's not even a
No,
thought to them. They're not crying, they're not getting emotional. That's how
Yeah.
deprived we are of
right.
support. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine one day sitting in your third living room in your mansion and thinking, hey, there was a day when I cried when someone purchased my candles,
Mm-hmm.
right?
But those people aren't the happiest.
They're not.
They're not.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they didn't work for it. They was inherited. A lot of them inherited that money. They got
Right.
lucky on a deal. They bet their money on the right person, and that person got them
What do
rich. There's very few
Right.
billionaires
What do
that
you think
earn them
about these
billions,
actors?
baby.
Like you can think about it like this:
Right.
all these actors got all this money, and you see them get caught doing all the craziest things. You're like, why they do that for? That's so stupid. It's because money doesn't. Right now, you're gonna look at money
Equate
as
to
as
happiness.
equivalent to your happiness. But when you get that money, you'll see that okay, for the moment you're gonna feel good, but it only fills the void temporarily. It's like a temporary thing, and then after that, what's next? Now it's back to your same mentality where you're like, "Dag, I don't feel so great. My mind is not too right." Because money doesn't replace. When they say money doesn't buy
Right.
happiness or love, it's true. In the beginning, yeah, you get if somebody give me 500 grand and say, "Yo, go enjoy yourself," I'm be excited. I'm balling out. But it's gonna come a time when
Right. I'm like, I'm never gonna be depressed or some suicidal shit like they be on. They
no,
bugging. Give me that
no,
money.
And that's because we come from a perspective where we don't have, right? So when you
Right.
when you come from a place of not having that already or not having excess, right? You don't have the life of excess. You see it differently. You like, man, you are bugging,
right.
completely bugging. You got everything you can ask for. Done been around
Yeah,
the world 3 times, and you're
Right.
depressed for what? Money should have solved all of your problems. What you mean? And then they
Right.
seeing it like, but listen, I've been around the world 3 times. I still ain't found love. I
Right.
done bought up every watch you can buy. I bought every Birkin bag, every Giuseppe shoe. I done had the boat parties, mansion parties, all kind of stuff, and I'm still not happy. You know why? Because all of that money bought them fake
yeah,
love. They have no one around them that is real. Everybody that they have acquired in their life has been with them
that's true.
because they are rich.
Hmm.
Right. Right.
They don't have genuine people around them, not even the people they brought up
That's
from the gutter with them
They
a
got
lot of the times.
cheerleaders.
Yo, they have, yes, that's what happened to R. Kelly. That's why he in the situation in now. You know why? Because he was so busy
Right.
singing the panties off of girls, his mans in them saw that and was like, yo, whatever we can do to keep this train
yeah,
going, keep it going. How you say? Keep the
Right.
party going.
Now he's in that position that he is, and they all ratting on him. Like, yeah, I
Ain't
knew
that
about
something?
this from 1993 and shit like this. Man, you just as guilty. Get your get your
Man,
house Negro coon ass off
but
of
you're
the
right.
goddamn television.
You're absolutely right
That's
because my
crazy.
fiance said the same thing. She said all these people around him are just saying yes, 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 yes. They're not trying to check him. You need that one good friend to
hmm
check you, like, yo,
Yes.
nigga, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? But when you don't got that, you end up like R. Kelly. You end up like people like him. You need somebody to check you and not going to tolerate that
Yep.
stupidness that you're doing and put you in your place. You got to have one friend, because
That's right.
sometimes we all get out of line. And if we don't have, if everybody's around us, and everybody's around us just agreeing with everything we do, then, and behavior science, behavior either go left or go right. So if it doesn't get checked, it keep on going worse and worse and worse until it gets checked. So in his case, he had his behavior to get checked.
That's right. I was listening to Drink Champs the other day, and Waka Flocka was on there, right? And he said he have an uncle or somebody. He had came back to New York, and they was driving, and Waka ran a red light, and his uncle was like, yo, stop the car, stop the car. He was like, oh, what happened? He was like, stop the car. He told Waka, he was like, yo, don't you ever fucking do no shit like that again. You telling me you done got that goddamn famous that you feel like you could be running red lights, niggas? You crazy?
Yeah.
Like, and that's true.
We ain't untouchable.
Yo,
Shit.
and he had to bring him back to reality. Like, bro, this ain't that kind of party. Like, you trying to be in this for the long haul. You want to have this shit stop short. So he could have took that two different ways. He could have took it like, nigga, get out my face. I got money. You's a bum. Get out my car. But he took it as, yo, he right. I was bugging. And that's my OG. He looking out for me. And that's not only the people that we need, but that's the mindset we have to have. Don't get so far out that you feel like, oh, now that I got my little bit of money, can't nobody tell me nothing. You're not above the law. You know why? Because you don't have the ability to take your life as fast as God can in an instant. Something can happen to you, and you ain't even expecting it. You be walking down the street, and all of a sudden the refrigerator fall off the side. How does that happen? I don't know.
I can contest it. Air conditioner almost killed me, so I can contest to that. I'm thinking about bills, finances, and next thing you know, air conditioner missed me by like maybe 2 feet, so I could die easily. Yep, right in the hood. It fell out the window. Yep. So you're absolutely right. You don't know when your number's called, and that's why I say it's very important. It's very important to like really get your mind right. We all, you know, I hate when they talk about the soldiers, how they suffer from mental illness. But what about the people in the hood? The trauma that we seen, the bodies we seen. I seen my friend get shot in front of me when I was a kid. I'm talking about head exploded, blood. I seen that as a kid. That trauma we go through. And that's considered normal in the hood. Shootings, somebody gets set on fire. And the trauma we go through, it never, you know, we don't promote mental health, so it doesn't get checked. And that's why some of us grew up to be animals. And then it ain't no supervision in the household. The father going or mom going or whatever. Remember in the 90s, they locking up whole parents. Their parents, mother and father going to jail. Kid going to force a kid get molested. It's sickening.
Right, it's crazy. The hood is traumatized, period, and we haven't addressed the things that we need to address, and now we see this young generation, right? From I want to say from like 13 to 20 per se. They are, at least the ones that we see, right? They are. They're fearful. They don't fear anything. You can't speak to them about anything. They are quick to take out a gun and kill you. It's as if a lot of them just don't care about their lives. And I'm kind of I'm lost for words explaining them because I truly don't understand where that comes from. Because a lot of their parents are our parents. You understand? A lot of our parents had a younger sibling, maybe 5 or 10 years younger than us. So now that's their age group. You understand what I'm saying? So how did we become who we are? And then we look at them and like, damn, what the fuck happened? You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying all of that exists, but it's a lot of that.
I'm old enough to have a 20-year-old. So I mean, looking at it from my perspective, being in the 90s, I remember a lot of my friends didn't have their parents. They was locked up. Some of their parents was drug addicts. Some of my friends was crack babies. They grew up from the crack era, so they was just all messed up in general. So it's like that era. Think about that era being so messed up with the drug game in the '90s. I mean, the '80s and '90s. That's definitely gonna affect us right now in the '20s.
Right.
So what's
Mhm.
happening right now is a reaction from the past because we had a messed up era with the war supposedly war on drugs and people going after Joe Biden about wars on drugs, but it was pastors and a lot of other people because they didn't know what to do about this crack situation. So it was pastors begging the government to intervene and do something
Right.
about the situation. It wasn't just Biden. Biden wrote the bill, but a lot of people signed up on it. A lot of community leaders and everything in our neighborhoods because they didn't know how to contain this situation. And we know that this drugs didn't come from us. It was given to us, and unfortunately, we moved it.
Right.
We moved it. Some of us used it to get out of our reality. Some of us sold it to put bread and butter on the table. Whatever reason we use it for, it just messed us up as a people. And only reason why it
Yep.
became war on drugs is when it started affecting the white neighborhood a lot. It's sad. Only when things affect their neighborhood, then
Yep.
they'll do something about our situation. But they, I still have friends that's locked up right now off the '94 crime bill.
Ain't that something?
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. And got whole
Yeah,
murderers walking in the
yeah.
street. You know?
And I ain't gonna lie, man. The other day I just like cried, just like why we can't, why people just can't look out for us and love us, man. Because we so loving. Black people, no matter what we go through or the situations we go through, we the most loving people in the world. You could kill our family member. You hear about saying, "Oh, we forgive you." You never hear that from white folks. And I'm not trying to put it as white, but we
you won't hear from
probably
me.
not me either. I don't got that much forgiveness in my heart. To be honest, I'm a repeat. But and the reality is that you find people like us. But the
I
crazy thing
don't
is, you can find
either.
people in general that looks like us to do things like that. I'll forgive you. With the shooting with Dylan Roof, those family they forgive them. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find that with other races. They're like, hell no, lynch them, burn the whole family, burn the kids too. But with us, we so forgiving as a people.
Hey.
It's sickening,
We let me add on to that. We're so forgiving as a people to everybody else, but I don't really think that we're forgiving to each other.
I didn't.
We are not.
You do you see how many times we cancel each other?
Yo, over the dumbest.
Over the dumbest shit.
Yes, 100.
You seen me yesterday get out. You seen me recently get outraged with the whole Ashanti and the Keisha Cole battle. So many people, our people, right? And I fucking hate to say our people because they was like the vast majority of people was like she was lying because she was scared. She was lying about her COVID-19 diagnosis because she was scared.
No, I'm just joking, but
and Ashanti is canceled because she got COVID-19 and she canceled the concert. Motherfuckers, this was Instagram.
I'm just saying, if she ain't going to the hospital, how bad is her COVID? No, I'm just playing. Don't listen to me. I'm just joking. I want to
Yo, you about to get punched through this goddamn connection.
That's
So what we see it over and over. We had this whole discussion on the podcast about they was canceling out Ice Cube. They canceled out Kanye West. The list goes on and on and on. One thing that white people don't do is if one of the people in their community fuck up, they do what they do to handle the situation and sweep it under the rug.
Yo, listen. And this is why we have to learn how to be we have to learn art of discretion, right?
Yeah.
Stop putting each other on blast in front of other people. Handle each other.
That's why we don't want to talk about things.
Son, listen, in public, you better have my back like a motherfucker. You hear me? But in private, bust me upside my goddamn head. Bitch, what you thinking? You gotta listen. There's nothing wrong with checking people.
Real talk.
All in how you do it.
I agree.
Check each other. But don't do it in a way in where you are now belittling your brother. and demonizing your sister for everybody to witness. And then you putting them out there to be a bad person. People are not always bad people. They just have bad ideas. They have bad
Point.
concepts and points. Yes, it don't make them a bad person because they think differently than you. That don't make them a bad person.
That's
We
true.
just see things differently. We have different ways of going about saying things. I'm not
Right.
gonna cancel you because I don't agree with you. Now, if you disrespect me, we
Now,
got a
now
problem.
I
That's a
will say, some
right.
people need to be canceled though.
Right. You
Some
might get
people you gotta
canceled
cancel though.
more.
You gotta cancel a few folks out there. You know
Like
what it
who?
is?
Who?
When it comes to like black folks, when it comes to black folks and you see them in high positions and they doing a lot of damage, remember when you see a black image in high position doing damage, they're actually doing more damage than the white man doing it, because we understand why white men do it, but when we see ourselves doing it, it's more on a higher level. It's like it's very sickening. So to me, I take more issue with a person that shares the same similar complexion or biology that as me, going out there doing some things that tear up our community even further, like what Ben Carson did with messing up the HUD. I understand that a lot of
Oh
people
my God.
is living off housing and they're not working and stuff, but that's not everybody's
But
case.
But he's a coon. That's the difference. He's a house Negro. That's a coon. It's a difference from canceling out somebody that's been for us all this fucking time.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ice Cube been Ice
Yes.
yeah,
Cube
you're right.
been for the cause. You understand what I'm saying? If it wasn't for fucking Ice Cube, we wouldn't have been saying
Sure.
fuck the police and all that
Hello.
other shit.
Hello.
So just
Do I get
because
to
you
sing the
don't
song?
You make one mistake.
Shit.
So just because you don't understand, just because you failed to understand what the brother was talking about, you canceled him based off of some bullshit that you seen on
Yeah.
social media. We don't do research.
Hello. We don't
We listen
comprehend
to
well.
Fox News. We don't even listen to Fox News. We listen to TMZ. We listen to fucking Shade Room on IG.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? That's where people get their news from, and then they run with it. You understand? We don't take the time to understand why we did this or look at the root.
Right.
We don't take the time to look at the root for our own shit. So we definitely not gonna do it
and,
for
and
a
that's
celebrity.
Listen. Always
But people like
judge by
him
the
that put in the
intent.
work, that always be very vocal about the black community, I give people like that a pass when I feel that they made a mistake. I'm not gonna say, oh, get rid of him because he screwed up this one time. No, because he did what he thought was best for his abilities with his opinion on how he think things should be handled. So I'm not gonna flip on him because I think he made a mistake on his timing. I'm not gonna flip on him about it because remember,
Yeah, we not gonna do that because we know better. You
That's right.
understand? But I'm speaking of the vast majority. This shit has been happening since I can
yeah,
say Nina
yeah,
Simone. You understand? Nina Simone was so I love me some
he's
Nina
cool.
Simone, so that's why I'm mentioning her. But if you watch her story, you'll see how basically the lack of support and the love from her own people is ultimately what killed her. She was so involved in understanding. She understood who she was as a black woman, but her gift was to make other people understand who they were and how to love themselves. That was her biggest thing. She sung about it. She lived it. She breathed it. That was fucking who Nina Simone was. But the moment that we got out of the I'm black and I'm proud movement, and we went from the afros and the dashikis, then we went to the perms, then we went to putting different color hair in our hair. Then we went, the whole shit moved. The whole shit, the division kicked in, per se. Where we was in I'm black and I'm proud no more. We fighting, we killing one another. We went from the civil rights. We went from the Dick Gregory. We went from the Malcolm X. We went from being united to divided like a motherfucker. That
I
killed that
bet it
woman's
did.
soul. There's you Yeah, so I've experienced that myself where I've had to fall back. Years ago, up in around Trayvon Martin and I don't know if y'all remember Sean
I know
Bell.
it's all bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
Sean
Oh
Bell is
wow.
actually my third cousin.
Oh wow.
Yes, so he is the reasoning behind Bring Back Our Kings and the reasoning why I've been trying to accomplish what I have been trying to do. I definitely feel the need for Black men voices
Mm-hmm.
to be out there. I definitely feel the need for Black men to lead their family, to lead their neighborhoods, and to start respecting they woman and stop leaving us behind.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's the majority, but it's, as far as I'm concerned, even if it was one person doing it, that's too much.
Right.
But and I lost train of thought because I just had a little bit of an emotion going on with Sean Bell. But during that time, I think my son was like 1 year old, and his father name is Sean, and it definitely hit home really hard for me. And I remember being out there so hard, like getting arrested and yelling at the popo and
Mm.
just being
Yeah,
rebellious. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And my mother and other family members had to stop me in my tracks. Was just like, Shayna, listen, if you don't stop going down the road that you're going down, you're gonna eventually wind up dead, and then your people ain't really gonna have your back. Somebody gonna take out a camera and record your ass getting killed, and then that'll be the end of
that's
you,
true.
and then you'll just be another
Hmm.
hashtag. So it's so unfortunate, and I mentioned Nina Simone because that's exactly what happened to her. She was so enthusiastic with teaching our people who they are. We're more than a color. Go dig up your roots. We
Right.
are brilliant and things of that nature. And then all of a sudden, the same people that she's fighting for no longer gives a shit about her. They wasn't supporting her movement. They actually blackballed her.
Ain't that something?
And right, and she eventually had to move out of the country just to keep
Wow.
just to keep living. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of us, and back me up on here because I'm losing track a little bit, but I say that to say that we don't, even in 2020, we
Mm-hmm.
still don't, we
Of
still doing
course.
the same shit
Yeah.
with the same
You
results.
ever notice when it comes to
Um,
like black celebrities and like for example brother Farrakhan. I like Farrakhan. I'm not a Muslim or nothing like that, but I like what he's been doing. He cleaned up the streets, a lot of streets he cleaned up and cleaned up neighborhoods, teach people better good values and stuff like that. I might not agree with the religion that he follows, but I agree with his message as far as helping black people become more productive and peaceful. I'm all for that message. The issue I have with it is that it seems as though everybody that become a celebrity, white leaders always asking black celebrities to condemn Farrakhan. But when it comes to all these crazy white leaders that do all this craziness, nobody has to condemn them. I don't understand it. It's so one-sided.
what white leaders? Name one white leader.
That's what
The
I mean by
Congress people.
leaders. I mean people that's running this,
He's
people that's
talking
Right.
about.
decision makers.
The fucking government.
Yes.
I
I
say
stand
leaders because they
corrected.
the ones that I won't say they have their life in their hand, but they can put a legislation out to destroy us and make our situation a lot worse. A lot of people say politics is important. It's very important because when you
Yeah.
see redlining in the neighborhood and a lot of changes, I
Absolutely.
got politician friends, so I see how
Yes.
fucked up things look. And excuse me for saying it because I can't think of a better word. How messed up the neighborhood is because of the legislation that's being passed on a local level. Now,
Nah, it's fucked up. It
huh?
ain't messed up, it's fucked up. Right.
On the federal level, it's just totally different. Like federal level, yeah, some things
I,
will trickle down to you, but those politicians on the local level, those state senators and those governors, you got to hold them accountable. And the problem is, people they work off their
Yep.
emotions
well,
more than keeping count of what he's doing for the people. Like There's no reason why that Lindsey Graham guy should have got reelected. I'm irritated about that. When all those people in South Carolina, they get screwed over after screwed over, but Lindsey Graham is so smart. All he has to do is go around giving people hugs and kisses, and guess what? He got votes. And then, you know, some of it is a racial motivation factor in there. Some people are just racist, so they vote for that reason. But you got a few people that vote for him because of the fact that
That's right.
he came to your party or something, or he gave you a hug, or he did one little good thing. Because remember, all bad politicians, they do a few good things here and there just to try to make themselves look relevant. But on the back end,
Right,
yeah,
self.
yeah.
You said the key word, self. They're selfish, like I explained to you, and I'm only going to mention Trump on this platform one more time because he's not getting no free promotion from me. But he is definitely an individual. He's a perfect example for what you just said. He's a selfish individual. When things don't go his way, it's like fuck the country, fuck everything else. You understand? He's an opportunist. People are getting it twisted that are saying that he's not a racist because he has rubbed shoulders with a lot of successful black people. No, he's only done that for the betterment of himself.
Yep.
Right, to get his shit to a certain level. So we gotta understand. We gotta stop looking at the problem and look through shit. I don't understand where we've become so nonchalant, where we just don't seek the truth. I've always been a person to question everything, even as far as elementary school. You understand what I'm saying? Halloween. Why are we spending the day in class worshiping the devil? If you don't want to teach me, you can call my mother and I can go home. That's Shayna, all 24/7. Oh, I'm going to my grandmother's house. Why do you have a picture of white Jesus on your wall? And I got my ass whipped a couple of times because I knocked it off her wall.
They think Jesus is white. I know that. I know that. What you're saying is exactly facts. I say, yo, I remember it was one of my old customers. I mean, she's very spiritual and she always talk about religion and all that. I don't like to do that at work because I work for the government. That's not really good practice for us. But I'm friendly with my customers and I knew them for a long time. So when she was talking about Jesus and stuff like that, and then she was like, yeah, and then she has a picture of Jesus in her house. So I'm looking at it and I couldn't help it. I was like, Curtis, don't say nothing. Shut up, Curtis. Stop it. Don't say it. She said, why you look that color? Why does he look like a white guy? And she's like, excuse me? She's like, that is Jesus. That's how Jesus will look. If he was still alive, he look. I said, no, I don't think so. I said the Bible scripture states, his description and all that. And she was like, but they have it in there,
and
it irritates me because it's like, you know what it is? They've been told that was Jesus for so long that now it's embedded in them, where even facts in front of them is irrelevant to them. Mm-hmm. So that's why I learned not to fight with older people when it comes to that, because I'm not gonna go hard with the Bible. No, like I love good things in the Bible, but they also got some bad things in the Bible. That's just my opinion. Everybody's opinion is different. I don't fight people. I don't go back and forth. I don't challenge. But some stuff, people will try to say, oh, you need to be under the influence of the Holy Ghost in order to understand the Bible. No, you don't. Some stuff is in plain English where you can clearly understand, like Exodus. But we're not going to go. We're going to get out this subject. I don't want to piss anybody off.
Right. We are here to speak about life coaching. If you want to worship a Jesus, a God that is orange and he looked like he's been on Sesame Street, God be with you. Good for you. That's not our issue. As long as you have faith and you're doing the right thing by people, yeah, we wish you the best. If you don't want to seek the truth, that's on you. But that's another topic. We've actually already talked about that. Episode 3, Anchor FM. We're on Spotify, Google, iTunes. Check it out. But tonight, we're talking about life coaching. All right? Go on, dog.
Yeah.
Shayna was getting hot. She said, don't take me back to that place. I'm starting to have flashbacks.
My hand is shaking.
You trying to promote Trump. it got
She said no more.
Bruh,
Don't
I'm
say it
not
again.
giving. I'm not giving those
it's
people. We
so
shouldn't
it's
give
so
those
hard
people
though
no
because
free
he's
promotion.
so
Nah, I'm good.
he's one guy that's always doing something like yeah.
Bruh, it's
Soon you
not
go to
hard for
sleep, you
me.
did 10
It's not
things
hard for
while you
me.
asleep that can probably mess things up in the future for your future people. So it's like he's relevant and doing damage and
I
like
know.
the executive order that we talked about last time. It's I don't know, man. I'm just
Right.
right.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
That's,
So back to life
yeah.
coaching with Dolly
Right.
George Harris.
So
Yeah.
look, we're gonna wait. We're gonna reframe that. Everything we just said, we're gonna reframe it. You know why? Because even though the devil was in the White House, it has forced us
Yep.
to come together as a collective to try to do
Absolutely.
better. What it if you even look at everything that happened these past 4 years as it pertains to Donald Trump, we could reframe all of that, right? We already
Right.
know he a devil. We already know that his people that follow him have a very skewed perception as to who we are as a people. And if you reframe that and look at all the good things that came from him actually being in office, is a plus. It
Right.
forced us uh, to have to depend on each other as a community more. It forced people to have to start their own businesses, to learn more about their history and where they come from. So there's a lot of good that came out of this for a particular group of people because now we have grown a dependency as a village to really call on one another to show up in ways that we probably didn't before because we just wasn't recognizing this huge uh, gap that's still within this country, which is this whole racism thing. It never
Right.
went nowhere. This was just
Right.
it was covert, right?
Right. I call 2020 the year of revealing, the true
Oh yeah,
awakening. You understand what I'm
oh
saying?
yeah,
And I think hopefully, him being in office has shown a lot of people that we can't be dependent on the government. We can't be dependent on them protecting us as far as whether it's financially, physically, mentally, we can't depend on them. Just like you said, we have to depend on ourselves and we have to seek deeper spiritually, whether it's religion, but it ain't the government. You understand what I'm saying? So
right,
you see that they are not a people, period, that we are not they main concerns. In other
right,
words, I hear a couple of people say that he was the chosen one, that he needed to be in that position in this particular time. You're absolutely right. Whether it was for the good or the bad, we should learn from Donald Trump being in office. But go ahead, sis.
right. And I agree. And also what I would like to point out is the fact that uh, a lot of times when you see behavior like what he's displayed, right, you often don't want to pay attention to that because it's hoopla. What you want to pay attention to is how people respond or react to it, right?
Right,
Because then that'll tell you where this undercurrent of all this hatred where it derives from, right? We have a tendency as people to put our insecurities on other people, right? So a lot of time when you see people raging against someone, or if they having such a difference of opinion or a strong feeling against somebody else, it's because that's us rejecting that part of ourselves that we no longer like or want to identify with, right?
right,
So if in my former life if I was loose, right, as a female, and I don't and I really don't identify with that anymore, but I see that in another young female, and I'm portraying like this, and like I'm so pissed off at her. Oh, why she doing that? And I'm just going off. It's because subconsciously I'm connecting how she's behaving with how I once was, and I'm being faced with a mirror, and people don't like that. So America
right.
right now has a mirror held up to them, and Donald Trump is the exact representation of everything that this country has been from the beginning. and we don't like
Right,
it.
right. You know, people. You know, the truth makes people uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, oh
We
yeah,
know that. We know that. So again, him being in the position that he is in has unraveled again the truth. You know what? Whether it's our own personal truths or
mm-hmm.
the truths about what's going on in this country with the emails and Russia and China and like I said, period is the it's the rude awakening
Mm-hmm.
that needed to happen. But like I was saying earlier, I don't feel like we should be focusing too much on him. I do know that the government has the power to enforce a lot of things, but you know, me and you both, we was raised up in communities where we governed ourselves. We took
That's
care
right.
of one another, and you know, whatever we didn't have, whatever any children didn't have in the neighborhood or the parents, you know, we had elders in the community that looked out for us. You know, they would take us out of the hood, take us to trips. We had
Mm-hmm.
people like Mr. Johnson and Miss Thelma Boyd. I don't know if you remember
Uh-huh.
them.
Yep.
Right, right. You know, whatever your parents was lacking, whether it was food, clothes, and they still have people there to this very day that are still doing the same thing, but it's not a collective. We're not unified. It's
Right.
probably one or two people that's doing it. We've become a selfish people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to piggyback back on life coaching, health coaching, I know you was getting into basically the trauma and how we have to hold ourselves accountable. And once we deal with that, we'll be better off. So could you go back a little bit into that and
Yeah, so basically, in order to heal any trauma that we've gone through as a people, we have to confront the source,
right,
right? And a lot of times that source may be our parents or our grandparents. And confronting them doesn't necessarily mean disrespecting them. And that's why I think a lot of people get caught up at, right? You don't want to confront your past because you feel like if you do that, you're dishonoring your ancestors or your elders. And that's not necessarily true. We
man,
have
they're
to,
gonna think we disrespecting them either way. Me and you had this
right.
conversation. We could say boo to our
Yes.
parents, and they'll think we're being disrespectful, but it's something that needs to be had. But go
And it's
ahead.
a generational thing, right? It's a generational thing because what they've been taught is children are to be seen and not heard, right? So when you are raised like that, you're not technically raised with a voice, right?
Right,
And then you teach your kids, you probably teach your kids the same thing, right? But when you are someone like us who wants different, right? You don't necessarily want to continue on that cycle, but you probably don't have the tools to get to your children, right? You want them to be vocal, you want them to have a voice, you want them to be free, but you don't necessarily come from a place of freedom, so you don't know how to get that to them. But that comes with confronting your past. You have to.
right,
You have to be brave enough and bold enough to say, hey, I wasn't given the opportunity to be 100% authentically me because you forced me to build up this wall and be so guarded because of how you were raised instead of realizing that I'm an individual, right?
right,
I have emotions, I have feelings, I have things that I want to do with my life that don't necessarily align with how you were raised and how you were trying to raise me.
mm-hmm,
When I needed you to nurture that, you weren't emotionally available,
right,
right? There's a difference between being a provider and being a great parent.
for sure.
And that's where I think the generation before us got a little tripped up. Yeah, y'all went to school, y'all probably had a trade, y'all got a job with the city, y'all was able to provide greatly, right? We never want for nothing. We didn't know that we was broke even if we was. That's dope. But where were you? You were there, but you weren't present.
Right.
So
right.
when the ball got dropped, you didn't pick it up. So now we need you to
Right.
pick it up. That's all.
For sure, for sure. And I seen it's funny that you mentioned that. I seen a post on Facebook yesterday. His brother put up your parents. Let me make sure I'm getting it right. I believe he put up your parents are not responsible for you. They did their job.
Mm,
So it goes back exactly to what you said, just because you provided me with shelter
hmm
and food, the basics, essentials. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
We didn't ask to be here. Our children didn't ask to be
Amen.
here. So you're expected to do the basic essentials, but are you there emotionally? Are you there physically? You
hmm
understand what I'm saying? So that's something that's the perfect reasoning why I moved from New York City.
Right.
Um, because it's a city that never sleeps. I was working 12 to 13 hours a day, leaving the house 7 o'clock in the morning, getting my son to school, and then he would already do like a 8 to 4 type of deal. And then because I was working late or stuck in traffic, I was working all the way in Midtown and lived in the Bronx. You understand what I'm saying? I had to
Right.
put him in an after school setting, and then sometimes I wouldn't be able to make it. Either his father or my mother had to go and pick him up. So there was so much that I was missing in Jeremiah's life because I was a provider. You understand, the full-time provider. I was making the money, but I wasn't there to experience him growing up.
Right.
So now we're in a pandemic, and I already had set myself up from working at home last year,
hmm
um, when I was pregnant with my daughter, and now that she is about to be one pretty soon, and I'm still working at home with the businesses and things of that nature.
hmm
Every day when she does something, I'm just like, yo, I I feel a certain way because I don't remember my son doing these things because I wasn't there.
Right.
Um,
And
so
that's
I'm
mommy
just like,
guilt.
right, right. And I know he looks at me like, damn, Ma, you really wasn't there. You was like at work being the provider, like you did. But it all goes back to what you say with Donald Trump. Like, we needed this to happen. We needed to be at home with our children. We
Right.
needed to be home with our husbands and wives
hmm
and with our family. And then as far as the COVID-19 is concerned, yes, it's a bad thing. However, whatever how it got here, it's here. You understand what I'm saying? But
Right.
the separation from the family should have allowed you to work on self.
Right.
You understand? And dig deeper into who you truly are. And then in the process of that, you finding out things about you, and you should be rebuilding with your immediate family or the ones that are apart from you because of the pandemic. You understand
Right.
that you understand? So it all ties in together. So with all the deaths and things that we've experienced, job loss and things of that nature, this year has actually been one of my best years thus far. Um,
Right.
and I invite people not to look at the bad, look at the good. You understand? We're dealing with a tragedy as far as the virus is concerned, right?
Yes.
But we still have the ability to be in our house. We
Right.
still have the ability to be with our loved ones. These
Not
things,
only
these
that, your ability now, like you said, to go back to being an herbalist, like you said in one of our
right,
conversations before, right? That's something that you
right.
probably wouldn't dug into had you not been in the
Yes,
situation that you in now, right? Trying to figure out a natural remedy that comes from earth in order to help people build their immune system. That's something you wouldn't even thought about,
for sure,
right? So
for
we gotta
sure.
learn to take the good with the bad. Every time
Right.
something bad happens in your life, always see what is the lesson that I'm supposed to be learning. Always
Yes.
look for the lesson. Do not be distracted by the bad. The bad is a distraction. That's all that is. It's to get you
Right.
riled up, get you angry, and to be out here acting a fool. Where there's confusion, there's the devil. Understand that.
Right.
Anything of God is not confusing. It's clear. It's called clarity for a reason.
Right.
Okay?
We just choose to overlook it, or whatever,
All the
whatever.
time. Because it's easier. It's
Right.
easier to get riled up and angry, right? It's easier to go outside and to do exactly what people expect you to do. But when you
Hold on
take a
one minute,
minute,
darling.
okay.
Hold on one minute. You gotta. My daughter be screaming like somebody choking her.
She said, I just want mommy love and attention.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how much more I can give her.
You
So,
know what somebody told me? When I did a parenting class, right? Before I moved down here to Maryland. Because of course I'm not a perfect parent and I do need help and I will admit when I need help. So I did a parenting class in Harlem. And one thing they told me was imagine if you was a baby, right? Imagine how babies feel. They can't speak to you in English. And every time they have an itch, they cry. They hungry, they cry. They got a burp, they cry. And we as parents are so impatient because we have so many things going on in our life that we brush it off or we tell the baby, oh, won't you hush up? We get an attitude like they bothering us, not realizing that's that only child's way of communicating to us that something is wrong and they're in need. Can you imagine having an itch for hours and your parent not realizing that you had an itch and you just wanted them to scratch it? Isn't that something? That is something that I had to realize that gave me patience when it comes to my children. They don't have the tools to communicate how we will communicate with one another. So I had to learn to be patient, if that makes any sense. Hello?
can you hear me?
I hear you now, sir.
Yes. So she already has instilled patience in me, but it's just like, can I wash my ass? Can I brush my teeth? Can I do my work on my phone? Can I do something? Can I step outside to breathe? Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's all a learning process, and it's all things that we have to learn, and when it comes to dealing with each other too, right?
right.
We don't all communicate the same, and we don't all comprehend the same. So
Sure.
it's a matter of being patient. I remember I told you that one time we was having a conversation about we was talking about how we identify as a people, and I think I told you something to the effect of not everyone reaches the same level of consciousness at the same time. We got to be
Right.
patient, right? Because it's true. Not everyone uh, is is they're not thrown into certain situations that have them adapting to things a certain way, right? They look
Right.
at things differently. People have different experiences. Some people grew up differently, and they'll reach their level of consciousness when they get there. There's nothing wrong with us educating one another, but we got to be patient with how people receive that information and
Indeed.
understand that they'll have their time. They'll have their time to be like, oh, okay, now I see what it is. Now
Yeah,
let
but
me
one
let
thing
me
that we don't do is we don't disagree respectfully. You understand? Just because you don't understand where I'm coming from or where I try to say, all you gotta do is say, well, sis, well, bro, I'll look into it. Thank you for sharing that information with me. You could
right.
possibly say I don't, but within the last couple of days, I've really seen the ignorance come out of our people, and I'm just like,
The
as
last
much
couple
as
days, say the last couple years.
I'm I'm being nice the last couple of years, but more so with my own peers that I thought was awakening on a whole different level. You understand what I'm saying? Like one particular brother, he put up a post saying we need to refrain from calling each other kings and queens and bosses because we don't own anything and we're not really entrepreneurs.
So that
So
means we should bow our head and cower in fear and not hold
right.
ourselves to a higher standard. That don't make sense.
Right. So I was like, shall we continue to call each other niggas and bots? I was like, I highly took offense to it because that's if we don't have exactly what we need, we are here to educate one another and help each other on how to get those things. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
within the comments, one of the brothers, and this went like 30 comments deep, and then I truly had to fall back from it because then I understood that he really didn't know. You understand his words.
Right.
He basically went into saying, well, he's from Africa and he's an immigrant, and he doesn't consider himself royalty because he wasn't born into royalty, and we don't have kings and queens that exist, and that we're not bosses, and that we have to work hard for what we need to accomplish in earth and work in the world, and that's pretty much it. So I was trying to make him understand, like, do you not even know the basics of where we come from as far as Cairo? You're like kings and queens in Egypt. If you just study Egypt, you understand, we were originally from that. Our history did not start with slavery. And we all don't come from Africa. You understand what I'm saying? But I won't go into too depth of that. But the way that he was speaking about himself and not even having a problem with it, I literally had to recap his message. Like, okay, so now you're saying that you're an immigrant, that you have no self-value, that you have no self-worth, that you are an immigrant. Like, the people that they call immigrants are not really immigrants. Like, we were here. You understand? We were taken. Right. A lot of us are. A lot of our ancestors were taken from where we built this. We built this country. You understand what I'm saying? So it was all about the verbiage,
Right.
And I dissected it, and then once I clarified, I did something different. Instead of shutting him down immediately, I fell back and I looked at what he wrote. And I'm just like, he truly doesn't understand it. He said, my mindset is dangerous because I think I'm entitled to too much. So I was like, no, brother, your way of thinking is dangerous because you don't have self-worth. You don't have self-knowledge. I was like, we can't continue this and break generational curses. We're gonna bring up a whole nother generation who doesn't consider themselves anything because of these type of conversations. So it was quite interesting, and it was shocking to me to hear
now look at this. Now, I'm sorry to cut you off. I had to because I have to remember this. Now you telling me his part and his perception or your perception of what he's saying, it lets me know that y'all from two different worlds, right?
Right.
You're speaking as a woman who is melanated in America. He's speaking as a man who comes from that country that we're speaking of, right? From our motherland.
Right.
And he may not have necessarily been taught the same values, right? We're coming from a place of deprivation where we have been deprived of growing up where our roots are. So when we seek knowledge to find out who we are as a people, we probably go a little deeper than what he is being taught growing up there, right? When an immigrant comes to America, they come here with this false sense of having an American dream, right?
Right.
In all actuality, we, as people who are born in this country, make it so people that come here from their countries can have that American dream.
Right.
Everything that everyone experiences here when it comes to success is because of the blood, sweat, and tears of the people whose ancestors had to go from riches to rags, not rags to riches. It was the other way around. We went from being royalty to being slaves. We went from having substance to having none and being devalued and belittled and berated and having everything snatched from us. But he doesn't come from that cloth, so he will never understand it. The same way you don't come from where he comes from, so you wouldn't understand his mindset.
Right.
You understand? And that's where the miscommunication happens because we have language barrier. Okay,
Right.
he's speaking to you his experience and why he feels we shouldn't deem ourselves kings and queens and blah blah blah. And you're saying, are you bugging? Do you
Right.
not understand? Or do you not understand
Right.
what
But you
our
know,
people have?
with most of my conversations like that, I'm providing sources. I'm like, yo, check this out. Check the con. I even gave the brother like amendments to
Mhm,
read in the
mhm,
Constitution. I'm sharing articles
mhm.
with him to educate himself about it, but he didn't want to do that. He continuously tried to insult my character per se. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not ignorant. I'm not stupid just because you fail to understand where I'm coming from. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? So you know, I could have took it another route, but like I said, I truly fell back and I was just like, yo, he just don't get it. And you can't force somebody who truly don't understand, but that's where the problem lies, is where we fail to understand certain things. We fail to be open minded about a
Right.
lot
And
of things.
willfully ignorant. We're
Right.
willfully ignorant,
So
and it's all because you want to be comfortable. You don't want to have to deal with the real, because if you deal with the real, that's going to have to force you into an uncomfortable space, right?
right,
Because now the shield and the veil has been lifted,
right.
and you can no longer act a certain way. You can no longer go out there and be who you were before the veil was lifted. You have to act accordingly. And people
For
don't want to
sure.
move like that. They just want to be comfortable. They're like, nah, I don't want to have to, put myself out there like that. I don't want to have to change my ways. I don't want to have to
Right.
correct people when I see wrong. I don't want to have to correct myself
Right.
if I'm doing wrong. They want to just keep living in bliss. That's why
And
they
that's
say ignorance is bliss.
right. Well, I refuse to accept that anymore. I think we need to stop making excuses for one another. You understand what I'm saying? The information is out there. Where the information is not hidden. We're not a people
Right,
where we're not allowed to read or not allowed to see who we truly are. You understand what I'm saying? So
right.
I shared this with our brother Curtis not too long ago, you know, and you said it to me, I believe too, or another sister about, you know, correcting each other when it comes to the verbiage. You know, just
Yes,
because
yes,
it's
that's
not,
what I said. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna be responsible for teaching each other the wrong thing. You understand what I'm saying? I have to correct
Mhm.
myself consistently about who I am and things of that nature, because you're surrounded with other people who are saying it a certain way and you know that it's not the right way. So
Mhm.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
All I can say is we can continue to just all we can do is just continue to be great. Um
Mhm.
and and pretty much that's it. And have these type of conversations. These conversations is definitely needed. Um
Right. The dialogue has to be there, and it can't be one-sided. It has to be us listening as much as we're doing talking. We
right,
have to really break this language barrier that we have with our brothers and sisters who don't come from where we come from. And we have to understand that their circumstance is different than our circumstance. I remember speaking to this young lady when
mhm,
I was going to my friend's church in the Bronx. And it was late at night, and she was like a visitor. It was like I guess you call it like a Bible study. She was a visitor from England. And I remember her saying, wow, guys, I noticed like a huge difference when I traveled from the Bronx to like Midtown Manhattan. I said, really? And what did you notice? She said, it's like huge classism. I said, you
mhm.
call it classism? She said, yeah, we have that in England a lot. We don't call it racism like you guys. It's classism. It's always rich against the poor.
Mm,
I said, that's really interesting that you have that perception.
right.
Because to me, all of that derives from racism, period.
Mm-hmm.
Because do you see droves of African Americans and Hispanics living in Midtown? No. You see it
No.
probably about 5% because they got that. What's the law that Trump trying to do away with now? The Housing Act, right? Where
Right.
they have to have at least a certain percentage of low income families staying in these new high rises they got going up.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't that comes from racism. It comes from
Right.
redlining. It's just they put a new spin on it to make it sound fancy.
Right.
You know
Class.
what I'm saying?
What's the word she used? Classism.
Yeah, classism. She said over there it's classism. She said we don't really deal with racism because there's a lot of interracial couples in England, which could probably be true. There's probably a lot of
Right.
mixed people in England. That
For
don't mean it
sure.
ain't racist.
Right.
that, don't,
Right.
that don't mean it ain't racist. Just
Right.
because there's a lot of mixed babies. It all comes from that. When you want to talk about uh the Moors and
Right.
how they view them over there. How are they viewed over there? They're not viewed as royalty. I know that.
For
So
sure.
what do you call
For
that?
sure. Right.
So it's a difference in how we view things based on our experience, and then the language barrier got to be broken. There got to be an understanding of this may not be how you see it, but this is how it is for a lot
This
of
is what
people.
it
And just
is.
because
Right.
right, and this is not this is, and just because you're not probably experiencing the same Trump the same uh uh what's the word? The same trials and the same trials that someone else is
Right.
experiencing doesn't mean that it don't exist,
Right.
right? It may not be our story, but it doesn't mean that someone else isn't going through that. So we have to be cognizant of that and learn to just listen to one another is so important. We have to listen to each other. We have to listen to each other's pain, and we have to understand uh, that people process things differently,
Right.
and that would solve a lot of our issues. If we just learn how to communicate, everything don't have to be a screaming match. Everything don't have to be, well, I'm right and you wrong. It don't have to be that. It could be, wow, that's crazy. You experienced that?
Right.
Well,
Let me
this
look
is
into
based
that.
on
Right.
right. Like this is I'm just speaking respectfully from my point of view. This is just what it is, you know. And then when
Right.
you if you do that and you notice somebody's being combative just for the sake of being combative because they want to be right, leave the conversation alone.
Right.
They're not ready to receive what you're trying to say. They just want to
Right.
argue. And
Right.
that's them. That has nothing to do with you. That's that person. They in their heart they feel like they right, and they haven't gotten to a place where they're ready to reconcile and ready to move forward and make things right between us and for any situation. Let that person be where they at so they ready to grow, and
For
that's just the
sure.
bottom line.
For
You
sure.
understand?
People, Dolly, how can they get your services? How can they gain access to your group on Facebook?
All right. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, anybody want to send me an email, follow me, request my services, you can visit me at on Instagram at Dolly Z Coach. That's TheeZ. Dolly Z Coach underscore 85 on Instagram. You can visit my Facebook page at Give Voice to the Village. If you want to follow me on Twitter, which is not much action on there, but if you want some motivation and you want to see me post my runs or some motivational quotes, you can follow me on Twitter at Dolly Z Coach. Again, that is TheeZ, Dolly Z Coach. You can email me if you want to schedule a free consultation with me. Email me at dollyzcoach@gmail.com.
Dope, dope, dope. Thank you.
I can't.
Share your
I really
information
can't.
because I know it got to be some people out there. Maybe they wouldn't communicate with me, but hopefully they communicate with you because you are the professional, and that'd be nice, you know.
Right,
Yes, please
right.
do.
And again, it's dope that, like I said, she's authentic, she's real, that we can relate. That's the number one thing that people gotta feel relatable to. They gotta feel like they can trust. Um, so she's dope. She's dope. I thank you so much for
I
joining the
appreciate it.
pod tonight. Was there anything else you wanted to ask Dolly, Brother Curtis, Brother Curtis, like we in church, Brother Curtis.
Don't hurt me now, okay?
Yeah.
Don't hurt me now, okay?
Yes. So I don't have really a question. I just wanna congratulate you again because I think you're doing good work. You're doing God work, and I'm glad that we got people like you out there that's trying to support, supporting our people and
Thank you.
put them in a better position so they can be more productive. So what you do is very important. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm just very excited that we got people like you out there. You give hope alive for a lot of us, and it just makes me feel more confident that one day a lot of us is going to be in a better position. So I'm just happy for the success that the things you're doing and
We
stuff.
will. Yes, and I just want to say something. I want to thank y'all for inviting me on y'all platform. It has
Yes,
been the dopest time.
Sure.
Curtis, my brother, keep
trying.
moving forward, educating these young brothers, please, because we have to make sure that we are doing better
Absolutely.
than
Yeah.
our elders did for us. Somebody dropped the ball, baby.
Yes.
Somebody dropped the
That's,
ball, and we gotta pick it back up. And it's okay.
that's
It's
it.
okay. We're
And
not perfect people. We just people.
hopefully this is not going to be the last time we hear from you.
Oh no! Whenever y'all want me back,
Part 10,
About to
12,
get her
30.
away in part 2, part 4, part 8.
listen. Maybe one day we could do a live session. That could be like a quick joint. If one of y'all ain't scared, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Y'all just
That's
do a live
excellent.
session right
Live
quick.
session. And I guess one
Yes,
day
for sure.
whenever y'all ready, we also could do everybody's so popular with this Zoom. I don't know which one is better, platform is better than that, like a video one. Maybe one day we could do Zoom. I don't know.
You know, I'm right. I told Shayna this a while ago, and why I haven't moved to do it yet is beyond me. But I actually wanted to put together a Zoom where we discuss a lot of the stuff that we spoke about today. I just want to get people on a path of thinking and organizing their plans and goals, and to help them through that. And I wanted to do like a whole Zoom thing where it's a women's session of 20 women and then have a men's session. I don't want to mix the two because sometimes women, they talk about things when they're vulnerable that they don't feel comfortable talking about in front of men, and sometimes men the same thing. So I want to be respectful of everyone, and I'm
That
gonna
sounds
hold
good.
that space.
And then
Soon. I'm gonna say soon.
That sounds good. I think I would like to do one where it's a panel of men and women. Because we have to learn how to get comfortable with each other. As far as I'm concerned, we're not winning no type of war unless we kill a war between each other.
But first, we got to get comfortable with ourselves.
Yeah.
And women identify
with
women. So first, we have to say, sister, we got to pull each other's coat first, adjust each other's crown. And once we are open to hearing what our brothers have to say, then we could join forces and kill this thing.
This has been another presentation from Bring Back Our Kings. I thank Miss Dolly George Harris, the best life coach out there, for coming on our platform tonight. And Curtis, it's always been a pleasure, King. I hope you both enjoy.
All right, take it easy. Everybody have a blessed night.
Have a good night, guys.
And even then, you're smarter than what these people call you. Don't have to be a rapper.